There was a lot of optimism coming into the season for the Raptors, who won 48 games last season, and in the offseason, they kept their young core together and actually added in some pieces to supplement that core. But this season has been a disaster. The Raptors have now fallen to 16-22 on the season, and the team has no identity on the court. So in today's video, we're going to answer, who should fans really be blaming? Let's get into it. What's going on, everybody? It's Jacob here, back with Amateur Hour Sports, your source for the greatest coverage and analysis on the latest Toronto Raptors news. If you like what you see from today's video, you want to see more just like it, and you also want to see live stream watch parties for every single Raptors game, then make sure you are subscribed to Amateur Hour Sports. Help me on my road to 14,000 subscribers on this channel, and if you find yourself enjoying along the way, please be sure to drop a like. It's the easiest way to support the channel. It only takes you a second to do, and it does help me out a lot. Join the Amateur Hour Army today. But the video, not in good spirits as the Raptors fall in another game last night to the Milwaukee Bucks. A Milwaukee Bucks team that did not have Chris Middleton. A Milwaukee Bucks team that did not have Drew Holiday, Joe Ingles, George Hill. It was a game, the Raptors at home. I know it's the Bucks, but this was a great opportunity to get a win, and the Raptors continuously prove that they are not capable of taking advantage of inferior teams on paper, because the Raptors, there is so much fundamentally wrong with this team, and on court, as I mentioned in the intro, it just seems like there is zero identity out there. The Raptors have nothing to lean on. They've been a team since the start of December that has a bad offense, but usually we kind of make up with that for our defense, but it's been a bad defense as well. And yesterday, the team started like 0-15 from the field in a game that was on ESPN. Yeah, there was that insane comeback near the end of the game, but the Raptors still lose in overtime, and still in overtime showcase the things that have been going wrong with the team this season. And fans, naturally, they're going to be upset here. There was a lot of optimism, as I mentioned, coming into the season. I mean, 48 wins last year. That was incredible. A fifth seed in the Eastern Conference. That was incredible, considering where the Raptors were the season before, that Tampa season. Nobody thought the Raptors would be that good in the next season to follow that up. And with that impressive performance all throughout the season, the Raptors with a young core, they kept them together. Individuals that are young, ascending players that seemingly would continue to improve. They didn't add in the best depth, no, but they did add in some players to help out with the bench unit. And it seemed like the Raptors, who won 48 games, got better in the offseason. So why couldn't they replicate the 48 wins? Why couldn't they even maybe go beyond those 48 wins? These were the questions we were asking before the season began. Now we're asking, is this team good, period? Because we've seen them now fall to 16-22. In their last 13 games, they have won 3, and there's been a lot of really good opportunities to snatch wins in this stretch that they have not been able to take. Fans are looking to point the finger at somebody. It's the easiest thing to do, because when you're angry about a team, when you're frustrated about a team, you want to direct that anger towards one thing, because you want to just make sure that thing just absorbs all your anger to make yourself feel a little bit better. And fans just really want to feel upset about what's going on, and they want to make it known they're upset, and they want to direct that. They want to redirect these emotions that they don't really want to have towards something else. Fans are pointing the finger at Fred VanVleet. Fans are pointing the finger at Nick Nurse. Fans are pointing the finger at Masai Ujiri, saying Fred VanVleet is the reason the Raptors are in problems over the course of this stretch. But yesterday's game would suggest that it's far from Fred VanVleet being the sole problem. Is he part of it? Yes. And in this video, we're really going to go through what is the reason for the Raptors' struggles so far this season, and who should you really be blaming. I think what's going on this season, I think part of the problem that we're having this season, and I mentioned it in yesterday's post-game show on Amateur Clips and on the live stream that we did on this channel, the Raptors have just so many, they have such talent at the top of the roster with guys like Siakam, Barnes when he feels like it, Gary Trent when he feels like it, and Fred VanVleet when he can actually hit some shots. There's just enough top-tier talent here that we can mask so many of the issues fundamentally with this team. Like yesterday, the Raptors were so poor all throughout the game, but when the team switches on and everything starts to click, we just get the glimpse and the glimmer of how good this team can be on any given night, and what we've expected to be consistent in any sense over the course of this season. But just these individual players are masking a lot of the problems here, where the half-court offense is struggling. Sometimes Siakam, we just give him the ball in isolation, he'll score 30 points, and maybe we win the game. And it's because of Siakam masking the fact that the half-court offense is so poor. Maybe some nights it's OG Anunoby's stellar defense hiding the fact that the defense overall has been very poor. And the Raptors, there's just nothing to lean on. Every game is different. There's crazy games like the one, and none crazier than the one yesterday against the Bucks, but every game is different. Sure, game plans can switch and constantly change, but the identity of the team needs to be there. Something that you can lean on game in, game out. Something you can lean on other than give the ball to Pascal and pray that he wins you the game, because, that wasn't the case yesterday. But throughout this season, it has felt like a lot of it has been that for this Toronto Raptors team. So where are the issues lying? I think that there are a variety of things that fans definitely need to consider, and you can't point the finger at one. Number one, front office has not done a good enough job of building this team up. It's very clear the team is missing some key pieces. They want to go with the 6'9" vision, and I don't think that can never work. Going with the 6'9" vision, all 5 players being 6'9", two-way players, athletic, that can work. This team just does not have the players on the roster to make that system work. And making that system work is a lot more difficult than making a traditional NBA system work with an actual rim-protecting big. We're seeing these bigs really coming into fashion again in the NBA and making a big difference. Like Brook Lopez yesterday. How much of a difference did he make on the defensive end? Because the Raptors couldn't really get any opportunities in the paint against him, along with Giannis providing that help defense. Other teams, there's like the Jared Allens in the NBA, and we can go on about all these defensive bigs like Steven Adams, Ivica Zubac, who have killed our team. These guys make a difference for the teams, and it's just something the Raptors still do not have and still has not replaced since Serge Ibaka and Marc Gasol left. It's time to address that concern. Also, talk about the shooting. I've spoken about it. They at least tried in the offseason with Otto Porter Jr., Juancho Hernangomez, but overall, it's just constantly looking for a small patch to a fundamental issue that has plagued this team for a while now and still has not been rectified. And then you go to the point guard position. Fred VanVleet is just not providing us with the point guard play we need. We need a playmaker in that position. We need a crafty, athletic, shifty player in that position. Fred VanVleet is just currently not offering that up to us. The front office has some questions to answer about the construction of this team. That leads us into the second thing that's going wrong. Nick Nurse. I think Nick Nurse is a great coach. And I said in the live stream yesterday, a chef is really only as good as his ingredients. Sure, I think Nick Nurse could be doing better with what he has. He could be doing better than last play of the game, getting Fred VanVleet a contested fadeaway three-point shot. Why Fred was given the last shot against the Bucks yesterday, I have no idea. Why the shot was as bad as that, I have no idea. If you're just going to give the ball to a guy and pray he hits a shot, go to Gary Trent, who literally did that at the end of regulation to tie the game. There's more than just that, but just another thing with Nick Nurse. Some decision-making has been off. He's not instilled an identity with the team that he has. That being said, how much can you really ask of him to get the most out of this team when, for the second game in a row now, the bench provides you 7 points of offense? The team overall struggled to shoot in the first quarter, but Nick Nurse wasn't missing those shots. In fact, there was a lot of really good shots available for the Raptors that they just were not hitting. Now, I don't think Nick Nurse has been perfect. I don't think he's been great this season. I'd say he's been under average, but I know he is a good coach, and I know that this is a very pathetic roster that he is currently working with. But that doesn't mean that he can't be better with what he has, but with the hand that he's been dealt, I don't think there is a lot that any coach could do to revive what has happened with this roster and with this team. And that leads us into the fifth thing, with the players, the personnel that we have here. Yes, this has been another problem this season. I would say this has been the biggest problem, compounded with all the other issues with this team. It's impossible to just fixate on one specific thing. That's just a gross oversimplification from people who just really don't want to actually think. They just want to go with the masses. There's some people who don't want to actually think about what's going on. They just want to point their finger at something to just as an excuse to make themselves feel better, because no, this team doesn't have any issues. It's just this one thing. It's just Fred VanVleet playing poorly this season. That's the reason we suck, so that they can look better online. They can look better when they're discussing with people. There is so much fundamentally wrong with this team beyond that, but the players are not exempt. Yes, Fred VanVleet has been quite horrid this season, and sure, he has cost us some games, but beyond that, the bench continues to underperform. The bench continues to really not offer us anything if Gary Trent is not there. If Gary Trent's not there, then the bench, you get two back-to-back 7-point games. When Gary Trent's in the starting lineup, he's clearly a better player over there, but we need to do a better job of working the rotations out to cover the fact that the bench is so abysmal. This team, with the players that it has, there's been that rough stretch for Gary Trent Jr. Scottie Barnes was doing cardio for 3 quarters yesterday before turning it on in the 4th quarter and overtime. Why does it take so long for him to actually get engaged into a basketball game? OG Anunoby, like, he's had some outstanding performances this season. There's been some points, but overall it's been a great season for OG. There's been some players who have underperformed. Juancho Hernan-Gomez, who we signed to be one of our 3-point shooters, is shooting under 30% from 3. The Raptors, just don't have shooters. They have some guys who can hit shots who are still underperforming in that aspect. And just overall, the player personnel that we have, they have not been up to scratch. Chris Boucher can't hit a 3 right now as well. So all these issues coming together has led to the fact the Raptors are now 16-22 on the season. We don't even know what this team wants to be when it's on the court. Does it want to be a team that slows down the game, plays in these half-court settings? No, it doesn't. But does it want to be this full-court team that relies on getting stops to turn it into offense? We're the best at forcing turnovers in the NBA, and that was very apparent yesterday. We forced 28 turnovers. We forced almost 30 turnovers for the second time in 3 games, but we can't get stops other than when we are doing those things. There's no identity on defense for what we want to be. There's no identity on offense for what we want to be. We're just a team of parts thrown together, some shinier and newer than others who are doing and performing better than others. But overall, as a unit, it's flawed. The unit is broken here. And I don't think this season is one where we're going to be able to fix it. There is a lot of games left, but from what we've seen from this team, I don't know if it's worth fixing. I don't know if it is possible to be fixed. There are things you can bring in, like if you can manufacture a trade with the Spurs to get Jakob Poeltl, Josh Richardson, you solve a lot of the shooting problems. You solve the rim protection problem completely like that. But to bring in help, you're going to have to lose a first-round pick here. And the first-round pick for this year might all of a sudden be a really valuable asset that you're going to want to keep a hold of. And you don't want to trade your future picks because those are the picks that are going to help you really get the team going. Because there are the core. There is the core in place. There are the good players in place, like Siakam, like Barnes, like Anunoby, probably even Gary Trent, that you can build this team around. And you need to give them the support. This season may not be the best thing for that to happen, but the front office needs to choose a direction for the rest of the season because this is broken. The front office in the offseason needs to figure out how it's going to get this core of players help because there are good players here who have no help. And for Pascal Siakam, who has been operating at an all-NBA level all throughout the season, there's going to be some frustrations there of why there aren't pieces that are making the team better and really fitting around him. That'd be a question that he has. That's a question that I have. Regardless of your opinions in this team, the front office needs to decide what it's going to be this season and how it's going to help the top tier players in the next season. A big year ahead for the Raptors, but we're going in with a problem. The front office is the one that needs to solve it. Thank you so much for tuning into this one on Amateur Hour Sports. If you did enjoy, please be sure to drop a like on the video. It does go a long way to supporting the channel. And make sure you're subscribed to Amateur Hour Sports for more videos just like this and live stream watch parties for every Raptors game. Thank you for the support so much on those live streams. We've had a great time there, and it's been a great start to the year for Amateur Sports. Bad start to the Raptors, but I'm grateful for you guys. Let's try to get some more content going in the future.